Hello, everybody. Greetings and salutations. This is Dean Tenney, Series 7 Guru. Every other Tuesday, we do a live stream overtime session. That's what we're doing now. We knock out questions it has. It looks like the 65s have done a takeover here. We got lots of 65s, and we're going to go through a laundry list of 65 questions. And then we have a Series 7 question and Series 6 on Thursday. If you have a QID, just put that in there, Shally. And Mallory, what are you? You're Series 7 too? Are those two Series 7s?
Yeah, Series
Okay.
7.
All right, cool. We'll do all of them. And then that's it. No more into the chat. Okay. Because the next interest payment date is not for another 2 months, the bond carries accrued interest of 20 bucks. Which of the following statements is true? So, as a buyer of a bond, I have to pay the seller of the bond the dollar amount of the accrued interest because I'm going to get a check that represents the entire 6 month time frame. So the buyer pays the seller the 1,020. So the answer is A. We only doing the math once, but that's going to be on the confirmation. Now, every once in a while, I'll get a when I was a practitioner, I'll get a buyer. Dean, I paid par, and my confirm says I owe 1,020. I said, well, remember, because 6 months from today, you're getting a check for $30, and not all of the $30, that's half of the six, the 180 belongs to you. You know, the seller owned the bonds. So accrued interest is paid by the buyer to the seller. I think this is a low probability on Series 65. Mallory, this is very high probability on your Series 7, right? This idea of accrued interest. All right, let's look at what our next one is. 152. 152. 4414. 4414. Which of the following items is not included in the gross estate of a decedent? Again, low probability, but boy, insurance is not included. Boy, so the takeaway is not so much this particular question, Stephanie, is that life insurance should be a part of somebody's estate plan because the proceeds you receive are tax free, right? The second test question here is I need to find out how much life insurance you need by doing a capital needs analysis. That too is testable, right? I'm not doing the capital needs analysis to sell you more insurance. It's about what's going to happen. Listen, if I'm the guy that tells you you need insurance, it's really bad because I'm not a life insurance guy. But I was telling my friend he needs life insurance. He goes, Dean, I don't want to make a bet with an insurance company that I got to die to collect. And I said, man, you are in the wrong space mentally. This isn't about you. It's about your wife and your two kids. And what happens to them is something happens to you. Are they going to have the resources they need? Whether Michelle wants to go back to work or not, I don't know. I mean, none of my business, but do the daughters, are they going to go to college? You know, so listen, my friend, if Dean is the guy telling you you need a lot of life insurance, you need a lot of life insurance because that's not I'm with you. I don't bet them against myself either, but so that I think is, I don't really care for the question, but I like the takeaway. I like the takeaway. Let's see. Our next one is 152. 1522362. Which of the following statements regarding the economics of fixed income securities are true? You should definitely know that short-term rates are more volatile than long-term rates, right? The Fed, test question, controls monetary policy. And what the Fed controls is short-term rates. Those are the ones that are moving up and down. Here recently, they lowered short-term rates to a target of 50 basis points, 50 bips less. So you shouldn't be struggling with one. Two, nope, those are mutually exclusive. Long-term bonds, you should definitely know are more volatile than short-term bonds. So be careful whether you're being asked about rates or bonds.
And I think that's what it was because I know that I was reacting to the quickest versus the greatest,
Yeah,
and
yeah,
that's how I answered it. And so I wanted to get your verbiage on that.
absolutely. And then remember, if there were truth in labeling, I think these things should be called bond brokers exams because there's way more questions on bonds than like stocks or other things. 152, Isaac, 22, choo choo. If a publicly traded company was going to sell a wholly owned subsidiary, the information would be made available. I like all of these, by the way. All of these could have been the right answers to a different question. At 8K, Isaac, very testable. This is called sources of financial information.
Wonderful. And that's
Yeah.
most of my questions I put in there. I got some of them right. I just was more wondering also
Let's
not
just
just
go through
what the
them.
right answer is on
Just
testability of
let's
said
just go
issue.
through them. This is very testable. This answer set.
Okay. So this is
8K,
testable.
it's testable. 8K is a material current event. A
Okay.
material current event. 10K is the annual report, which needs to be audited. 10Q are the quarterly reports, 3 10Qs and a 10K. A 13F is filed when somebody owns more than 5% of a target company's stock. Well, no, that's 13D, excuse me. 13F is for people who have discretionary control over $100 million. Every quarter, they got to tell us what they own, Isaac, which is good reading. I'm demented, Isaac. I like to see what has Berkshire Hathaway done this quarter. And, they have to tell us how much Bank of America they bought or sold, how much Occidental Petroleum. And so 13F is for asset manager, investment advisors who have a AUM of 100 million or more. So all of those could have been the right answer.
Okay. And that's
All right, our
something I
next
would
one
want to
is
memorize.
152 5280. The management style is most similar to buy and hold. Yeah, I would definitely know this. I
Okay.
would definitely know this.
This is one I got right.
Yeah, there you go. So, well, were you in the live stream? Then when I said you shouldn't be spending time on things you got right. It's counterintuitive. You're trying to find the things you got wrong, right? What's our next one? Is that 547?
Oh, geez.
Yeah.
Let me scroll up here. Yep, 547.
Okay, so our next one is 22692. 22692. All the following are exempt transactions except broker dealer underwriter. You should not be struggling with that. There's no retail customer involved in B. Banks have a different regulatory authority, Federal Reserve Board or the state banking commissioner. Alimony National Bank, publicly traded bond to another insurance company, no retail customer. A, Joe, an employee in the consumer lending department of the bank, buys securities from ABC Securities, a broker dealer registered to state. Yeah, listen, ABC Securities and whoever the agent there needs to be registered. So I think they throw you kind of a U-turn here. This question isn't about Joe, the employee of the bank. It's about what he's doing. He's buying securities from a broker dealer. That's not an exempt transaction.
Because if he would have been buying, if he would have been the one selling, let's say I'm a Bank of America
My
employee and
God,
people,
I'm going to tell you, Isaac, what I told
yeah,
Daniel. The test is hard enough. Don't be
yeah,
making your own tough questions. That wasn't the question.
okay.
Answer the question you're being asked, not the question that you are trying to invent, right? So I have to tell people, send me the question. Well, it's not a question. It's just something I was thinking about. I go, well, gee whiz, do you have too much free time on your hands, perhaps? 1572393. Be patient, Mallory. We're almost to you. We're almost to you. All the font. Did we just do that one?
Yeah, I
All
think
right.
you
So
beat.
1522. 622. The Uniform Securities Act grants exemptions to the securities of a number of issuers. If you were the administrator, you get to play God. I joke, the SEC is God and state administrators think they are. Right. So there's these demigods running around, right? Which of the securities would not be eligible for an exemption in your state? All right. So you should definitely know Alberta is, province of Alberta is, because remember, Canada is part of North America.
Yep.
And so Canada is no different on this test, the province of Alberta, than the state of California. There are
But
12
Mexico
provinces
is.
in Canada. Should have been struggling with B.
I was not, no.
Common stock issued by XYZ, organized by the laws of neighboring state, not ours to do business in this state. Equipment trust certificates issued by a common contract carrier. The answer is A, debt securities of ABC under the laws of a neighboring state, but not authorized to do business in your state. So you're telling them, get out of my state.
So
Yeah.
why would C
Every
be
once in a while.
allowed,
See,
but
common
not
stock
A? Yeah.
trusts
What's
organized
that
under
difference
laws
there?
because trust companies, right, are organized across state lines. They're federal, right?
Okay.
You don't have control as an administrator over a trust company.
Okay.
So, all
Okay.
right, that looks like our last one. Stephanie, okay, 65. Mallory, your turn. Let's go get to Series 7.
Thanks, Dean.
My pleasure, Isaac, my pleasure. Series 7. By the way, shout out to our friends at Kaplan. You know, Kaplan allows me to give you free look if you're watching this on Kaplan content. So what are we looking for? We're looking for Series 7. There it is. Hard to believe. Is that crazy? That I'm, what, 62 years old and I am a social media influencer. Well, with contract. Who would have thunk it? All these young people out there. I'm like official. I'm not a Kaplan boy. I'm officially a social media influencer for Kaplan. I have a contract. They pay me. Hard to believe. And people say, how'd you do that? I said, I don't know. It just kind of fell into it. Let's see. Kaplan ID 1547611, Mallory. Oh my goodness. Let's blow that up a little bit. Your client is approaching retirement and is nervous. By the way, this is good for everybody. Now, listen, I know the subject matter experts at Kaplan. And I would tell you, Mallory, that they intentionally use big words and try and put this in phraseology because their heart's in the right spot. So, sometimes, boy, I get students and I feel sorry for them. I don't laugh at them, but I laugh with them when English is a second language because they'll tell me they'll put these words in their Google Translator and nothing comes back. And when they go, why do you find that funny? I said, because I really don't think it's in English to begin with. So it doesn't surprise me that it doesn't really translate into Mandarin or, whatever the case may be. Anyways, nervous about to have enough funds to live on and after he stops generating income through his work. He's highly interested in biotechnology. Wow. Especially new developments in bacterial production of human hormonal proteins. Wow. He asked you for some investment recommendations on the stock of companies in the area. What would be the tenor of my reply? I would probably say, I know nothing about this, maybe we have an expert here somewhere, but it ain't me. Let's look at our choices here. His main objective should be income rather than high risk growth. Yeah, we're going to rain on his parade, aren't we? We're going to say, listen, how old is this guy? Well, they don't tell us, but he wants growth. He should confine himself to more conventional companies. No, I don't like any of these answers, but I do think given this as like a compliance officer suitability, A is my best answer. If I missed this, I probably would have missed this with D. But he says he wants to stop generating income. So what we're trying to do in retirement is replace. The way I always say this is you work for your money. And then what I want to do is get your money working for you so you don't need to work for your money any longer. I get to say, Mallory, we have arrived at our financial destination. We now have enough money working for you that you don't need to work for your money. If you don't want to go to work tomorrow, instead of calling in sick, you can call in rich. You say, I'm not coming to work today. They say, why? You say, I got an eye problem. They say, Mallory, what's wrong with your eye? You say, I can't see coming to work because I'm rich. Is there one you like better? I think that's a poor question, to be honest with you, as your person. I wouldn't feel bad about that one. I wouldn't beat yourself up. What did you pick? Do you remember what you picked? What's that? B? Oh, you're breaking up a little bit. I don't know if that's on my end or your end, but you're breaking up a little bit, Mallory. All right, what's Mallory's next one? I think Mallory had another one here. QID 154 4 646. I like this one. You can't be fumbling around with convertibles. I think Mallory on 7, you're definitely going to get a couple convertible questions. The first thing is when you get the conversion price, any convertible question, you get the conversion price, you got to say bastards. I don't need the conversion price. I need the conversion ratio. So how do we get the conversion ratio? The conversion terms are based on par. So what I'm going to do is take $1,000 par. I'm going to divide by the conversion price. And now I'm back in business. I have the conversion ratio. So if you would like, you, Mallory, can turn this bond into the issuer and get 20 shares of the common. We have, very testable, a trust indenture. A trust indenture is the promises, covenants, resolutions from the issuer to the trustee for the benefit of the bondholders. And one of those is my right to have my conversion adjusted for any stock splits and stock dividends. This is called anti-dilution. So if this company declares a 20% stock dividend, then they have to adjust my conversion feature accordingly. And so I'm going to want 20% more too. So I'm going to want, boom. Now, by the way, I'm not being facetious here. I am terrible at arithmetic. So if somebody offers me a calculator, what am I going to say? Thank you so much. Right. So I'm going to take 20 times 20%. And so I'm going to want 4 additional shares. You know, I was tutoring somebody today and I said, listen, we always are going to want more shares and it's going to be a lower price. So you see how I got to have 4 additional shares? I took the 20% stock dividend and I times that. Right? This is the stock dividend, and this is called anti-dilutive. Okay, so now I'm going to want 24 shares if I convert, right? And so now I can figure out the new conversion price. We said it's going to be now par. By the way, if I'm lazy and don't want to do the math, I would just know it's more shares at a lower price. Let's see. So now I'm going to take 1,000. I do it on per bond. I'm not going to deal with the 10 bonds until I get this done, but it's 1,000 divided by 24. And I get 41.67 as my new conversion price. And good news, that is available to me. So that's choice A, right? So that's how I got this. Do you recall what you did here? I still have 10 bonds, by the way. It's just now my 10 bonds will get me 10 times 24. I'll be able to get 240 shares if I exchange it.
I can't remember which one I picked.
Okay. You're going to get 2. Yeah, the main thing to be able to do, Mallory, on the 7 is to be able to calculate parity.
I feel like I took them and I took
Yeah,
it.
this is parity. If I want to know parity of the bond, I would take the 24 shares times the current market price of the stock, and that would give me parity of the bond. So you're either going to multiply or you're going to divide. And if I was asked parity of the stock, current market price of the stock, that's parity of the bond. And if I want parity of the stock, I take the current market price of the bond, I would divide by number of shares. So that's a tough one. I wouldn't beat yourself up on it. Okay, well, listen, I guess I was aggressive in telling you that, hey, we're going to do 45 minutes. Anybody got anything else? It looks like, let me check. Shally, what short-term interest rates are more volatile? Yeah, I don't know if you were here at the beginning, Shally, we went over that. Short-term rates are more volatile. They change more often, right? The Federal Reserve Board controls short-term interest rates. The 2 short-term interest rates you're held accountable for are the Fed funds rate, and of all the rates, that's the one that changes most often. Fed funds is banks with excess reserves lending to banks with deficient reserves. That's the one the Fed targets. You can also, as a bank, borrow money directly from the Fed, and that's called the discount rate. So those are the 2, and those change most often. Is this Series 7? Yeah, well, Mallory's questions were Series 7, and the previous questions were 65, Shally. We didn't have any Series 6 questions to discuss. Our convertibles on 66 on both SIE and 65, just really basic if they are, just so you can switch your status and the conversion ratio. So it looks like we have another 66 here, Christina. And so let's put that in there. Let's go get the 66. Do, 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 do.
Hey, Dean, while you're pulling it up, I just have a more general curiosity.
Yeah.
How long have you been partnership with Kaplan?
Oh my God. There was a predecessor company called Dearborn that we sold to Kaplan. And when we
Okay.
sold to Kaplan, Dearborn to Kaplan, I came on board as the senior managing director of the Western region. So I was in charge of, nobody at Kaplan knows this, but as it's turned over, but I was in charge of the everything west of the Mississippi. And it's funny because they never really severed me. So, when I went on to do my brokerage thing, so nobody ever fired me or laid me off or anything. So I used to every once in a while go teach a class at a Kaplan site, and somebody would say, "My God, you've been here 30 years." I go, "Well, not really. I've disappeared like years at a time, but but this time my discount code went down and my Kaplan email went down, and come to find out, I was talking about the social media influencer contract, and Kaplan at legal said that Dean can't be a Kaplan employee and also have this LLC doing business with Kaplan, and so I said, well, what do I care? I don't need a Kaplan email except to talk to Kaplan people, so um, so yeah, I haven't. I do my own thing too. So I have my own training operation for a long time, and so
I mean, I'm glad I got a good walk down memory lane for you there.
yeah. Well, that makes me feel old. I mean, you know, John and Martha, both in their early 40s, were divorced in November 22nd, 2018. So they're trading X. They're trading X without their spouse attached. X is Latin for without. Because Martha is unemployable, the terms of the divorce require John to pay Martha $300 a month in alimony and $1,000 a month in child support for their 4 children. Oh my goodness. Listen, what do I know? But that doesn't sound like a lot of money to take care of 4 kids. I mean, you know, I'd say, hey, Dad, step up. Well, I take that back. Some people aren't blessed. Maybe Dad, maybe John, I don't know, maybe doesn't have the resources to give more money. Given that information, which of the following statement is correct? John is able to deduct $3,600 from his taxable income because the alimony is deductible, right? Alimony is considered eligible income from Myra to Martha, tax deductible to John. I wouldn't worry about the thing that is very testable here, Christina, about divorces, very testable, both 65 and 66, is a QDRO. Usually when I teach in class, I say, is anybody familiar with a QDRO? And I have people say, yes, Dean, I learned it in the real world. You know what a QDRO stands for? Very testable. A qualified domestic relations order, very testable. It's where a judge tells a custodian to make a distribution from the retirement plan to the ex-spouse. Is that considered a distribution that has to be taxes? No. If the ex-spouse rolls the QDRO into an IRA or whatever, then it's not a taxable distribution. That is very testable. I don't know of any 65, any 66 in which you're not going to ask about a QDRO. Let's see. It looks like Mallory, you got a different one. Cashless callers. A caller is where you sell the call to fund the purchase of a put. I always tell the story of Mark Cuban, and he bought a put on his stock, and that's the foundation of fortune. But I clean up the story because what he really did was he sold the calls to pay for the puts. So he didn't really have any out-of-pocket cost for that. Okay, this is the last one. So let me get the Kaplan Q bag. Did I put it away? Damn. Okay, I gotta go get the Kaplan Q bag again. Oh, I didn't. Yay! There it is. Okay, let me go find it. Uh-oh. 37. All right, let's go find you guys again. Study tool, QBank. chat. Where is chat? There's my chat. Let's see, where'd it go? Cashless cars. There we go. One. I think it should have a 1 in front of it, Mallory. Are you sure it's just a 549?
Oh, let me see.
I think usually
Yeah, 1549.
there we go. That means Dean's spending way too much time in the Kaplan key.
I copied it and pasted.
Okay, several years ago, a client purchased 1,000 shares at 50. The stock is selling at 100. Wow, I would strongly consider, Mallory, a hedge. I mean, you've doubled your money. That's pretty damn good. You're nervous about the future of the market. I would be too. An order is turned in to sell the calls for a premium of 2. So that's a covered call. It's called a caller, by the way, because you have a caller either side. What we mean by that is you're not going to participate past 105, right? Because you're going to get exercise. You're going to have to give up the stock. The way I always talk about this, Mallory, is options are about floors and ceilings. And so, here there's a ceiling at 105. And then we buy the 1095 puts at 2. Well, good news. I said, Mallory, we were not out of pocket for the puts. And then again, the caller, now the floor is 95. So the caller is at 95 and 105, right? That's why it's called a caller. I think of it as a floor and a ceiling. I do have a video for those who may be watching the replay. I'll link. I have a video on callers. And here they didn't ask you to do anything with it. They just asked you, what is it? It's a cashless caller, and callers are where you sell the call to fund the purchase of the put. So you're not out of pocket for the insurance. I don't know if it's helpful. I think when you buy a put on a stock, you're buying insurance. And so the premium on this insurance for the stock position is 2, but we sold the calls for 2. So, hey, pretty cool. I went 3 years. The channel's coming up on its 4-year anniversary, Mallory, and I went forever without any videos on callers because I just didn't think it was material passing the 7. But, I always add things, and now we have one there for you. So our convertibles on the 66, I think I answered that question already. Did we already do this one, Christina? 1578169. Did I do that? You're still here, Christina? Did I do that or not? Christina.
Yeah.
Well, I guess are you here? I don't see you anywhere. Christina, the reason is Christina, there's Christina. Okay, I did that one all right. Okay, cool. Because Christina, she deserves. I'd stick around for Christina. Remember, this is not the free office hours for paid students. This is free for everybody. But Shally and Christina are paid students. So they should actually, go to the front of the line and getting their questions answered, and as many of them as they would like. All right, everybody. Anybody got anything else for tonight?